Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carl Joshua P. Ochoco, and welcome back to our video. Today, we'll be discussing the using of the JOptionPane class for GUI input. Without further ado, let's start now our presentation. Okay, so using the JOptionPane class for GUI input. So there are actually two JOptionPane dialog box that we can use to accept now user input. First one would be our dialog box or input dialog box, and next one would be our confirm dialog box. Okay, so let's discuss first what is an input dialog box. So input dialog box asks questions. Okay, also it will provide text field in which users can enter response. So the method now for our input dialog box would be show input dialog. And this method has 6 overload versions, and it always returns string representing user's response. Take note of that. Input dialog box always accept or return strings only. Okay? And the input dialog box prompt a message requesting user input. Okay, so an example of input dialog box would be this one. So this is an example of our program. If you're going to use now your input dialog box, you need to import your JOptionPane class. Okay, then as you can see, we have the class name of hello name dialog, then the main method. So inside our main method, there's a declaration of string result. Take note that when you're using input dialog box, you always save it in a string variable or string data type. So string result, then below is result is equal to JOptionPane.show input dialog. Then first one would be our parent component, which is null. Next one would be our what is your name or the message. Then below is our JOptionPane show message dialog to print now the result of our input dialog box. So the output would be just like this one. So what is your name? Then the user input Audrey. Okay, so let's try now to use this input dialog box or copy this input dialog box program on our netbase. Okay, first, we're going to create now a file. Okay, the next input dialog box. Okay, so to have this space on our program, I'm going to delete these comment sections. Okay, so on our PowerPoint, we have the import javax.swing. So we need to import first our class JOptionPane. So javax.swing.JOptionPane. Afterwards, we're going to put these codes in our program. So string result, then and an exclamation point. So that is our program. So let's try now to run this program. So if I'm going to run this program, the output would be, for example, we'll input the Audrey, then hello Audrey. So that is the use of our input dialog box. Okay. So the input dialog box requires 4 arguments. First one would be our parent component. Next one would be our message, then title, and our type of dialog box. So let's try to have an input dialog box with these 4 arguments. So for example, we'll use this what is your name. So for example, so this is our parent component, your message. The next one would be our title. So it is a string. So input the name. Then next one would be our type of dialog box. So for example, we're going to use a question. Okay, so question, message. Okay, so for example, I'm going to run the program. So the output would be, there would be an icon here as a question or question mark pertaining to our question message. Then the title would be input the name. So what is your name? For example, Carl. So the message would be this one, hello Carl. So that is the use of our input dialog box. But take note that if you're going to use now your input dialog box, you need to think that input dialog box always accept values into string data type. Okay, so it will not accept integer or double. Okay, so let's try. So for example, I'm going to comment this one. So for example, we're going to have, or we're going to add two numbers. So in first number, then second number. Okay, so we're going to use this first number, start the JOptionPane dot show input dialog, call, enter first number, for example. Take note that after we program our show input dialog, so there's an error. It says here that incompatible type strings cannot be converted to integer. Okay? So why is that? Because input dialog box only accepts strings. So if I'm going to change my int into string data type, so the error would be gone. Okay? So the problem is to add two numbers. So let's try to add our second. Okay, then I'm going to show message the first number plus second number. So JOptionPane. Take note that if I'm going to run the program, okay, so if I'm going to run the program, I will input now first number, for example 4, and the second number of 5. Show the first number, which is 4, and the second number, which is 5. So for example, we're going to enclose them into a parenthesis, so it will convert it into arithmetic. So still, the output would be 4 and 5. So to convert now our strings into integer or numbers, we actually have a way on that conversion. So convert strings to int or double. So use this method from built-in Java classes, integer and double. So we call them type wrapper classes. Okay, so each primitive type has corresponding classes contained in java.lang package. So this now includes our methods for processing primitive types values. So if you want to convert integer or a string to integers, you can use the integer.parseInt. And if you want to convert now double.parseDouble. So let's try now to include these type wrapper classes on our program. So we're going to convert this first number into integer. So integer dot parseInt. Then inside these parentheses would be our first number. Then same goes also on our second number. parseInt. Okay, then our second number. Okay, so if I'm going now to run our program, then first number would be 4 and second number would be 5. So that is 9. Okay, so take note that if you're going to add two numbers or the numbers, okay, you need to convert the input dialog box or the string values into integer by using the type wrapper class. So for strings to convert it into integer, you use the integer.parseInt, and if you're going to use now the double, you need to use the double.parseDouble. Okay, so let's try to have a short program regarding with this input dialog box. So let me comment this first. So what we're going to do is we're going to get now the name, okay, the course, the age, and let's go with the subject, our prelim grade, okay, our midterm grade, and final grade. And what we're going to do is now, we're going to compute for the subject grade of our subject. Okay, because prelim, midterm, and final are given. Okay, so let's start. So first, we need to input or we need to declare a variable string. Take note that input dialog box only accepts strings. So input or string name, course, age, subject, okay, prelim, grade, and midterm, prelim grade, midterm grade, and our final grade. Okay, so for the subject grade, we're going to do that after we use or we input the dialog box. So let's start. So JOptionPane or name, same also with our string result. Name is equal to JOptionPane dot show input dialog, then null. Okay, enter your name. Okay, same goes also with the other data types. So course, okay, so we're done already in creating input dialog box of each of our variables. Okay, now we're going to compute now for our subject grade. Okay, take note that subject grade is actually double. So we're going to use the double data type for our subject grade, then equal. Okay, so that is prelim grade times, so that is times 3 or 0.3. Okay, then our midterms, so plus prelim midterm grade times 0.3 plus our final grade times 0.4. Okay, so take note, we still have an error on our program because you cannot actually convert our strings into double data type. So first type string, second type double. Okay, so first we need to convert this prelim grade, midterm grade, and our final grade into a double variable or data type. So by using our type wrapper class, double dot parse double, okay, and our subject grade, then grade. So I'll be enclosing them with parentheses. Okay, so take note that the error now is gone. So to check now our program, let's try to display them. So by using the show message dialog. So JOptionPane dot show message dialog. So null. Okay. Then hello. Our name class will be using the escape sequence of \n course. Okay, then course plus. Okay. Then we'll be including now our subject grade. So \n subject grade. Okay, would be the subject grade. Okay, so if I'm going now to run this program, okay, let's try to run our program. So enter your name. So for example, Cardo Dalisay. Okay, then enter your course, BSIT, then age of 15, subject of programming, a prelim grade of 85.3, 30, then a midterm grade of 75.7, 6 or 75, then our final grade of 90.98. Okay, so this is now our output. So hello, Cardo Dalisay. Course would be BSID, age is 15, subject programming, prelim grade is 85.30, midterm grade is 75.75, final grade would be 90.98, and our subject grade would be 84.707. Okay, so this is now the use of our input dialog box in our GUI input. So you can use input dialog box, okay, but take note that input dialog box only accepts string values. Okay? If you want to accept numbers, you need to convert them into double or integer with the use of our type wrapper class. Okay? So this is the end of our input dialog box. Let's now proceed on our confirm dialog box. Okay, so for the confirm dialog box, it will only display option yes, no, and cancel. And the method for the confirm dialog box is show confirm dialogs, and it is actually a method in JOption class. And it has 4 overloading versions available. Okay, for the confirm dialog box, it will only accept or return integer values. Okay, the yes option, no option, and cancel option has a specific value of integer. For the yes option, the value of this yes option would be 0, the no would be 1, and the cancel would be 2. Okay, so this is now our confirm dialog box. There are actually 5 arguments on our confirm dialog box. First one would be our parent component, prompt message, title, integer that indicates which option button to show, and integer that describes kind of dialog box. Okay, so let's try now to use this confirm dialog box on our netlinks. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. Confirm dialog box. Okay, so for the confirm dialog box, I'm going to delete this again so that we can have a space. Okay, again, for the confirm dialog box, it will only return integer values. Unlike for the input dialog box, you need to input dialog box only returns string values. Okay, so for example, we're going to use now int, okay, result. Okay, then result is equal to JOptionPane dot show confirm dialog, then null, and our message of do you want to close the program, for example. Take note, I am going to import now my javax.swing.JOptionPane so that we can use our JOptionPane class. Okay, so if I'm going to run now our program, so it will show the yes, no, cancel options. Okay, so yes, no, cancel options. So if I'm going to click the yes and no and cancel, there will be result. So for example, I'm going to click yes, so there's still no output. Okay, so let's try to include our title. So for example, close the program. So this is the title. Next one would be our integer that indicates which option button to show. Okay, for the JOptionPane confirm dialog box, the default has 3 options actually. But for we can actually use only the yes or no. So by using the yes, so JOptionPane dot yes and no option only. So if I'm going to click that one and I'm going to run the program, it will only display the yes or no option. Okay, but in default, okay, if you do not include this option, okay, it will has a three, or it will show three options: yes, no, and cancel. Okay. Then take note that the title of our program is close the program, so that is the title. And we can actually use also the type of dialog box that we can use by using the, for example, we are going to use the question message. So if I'm going to run the program, so it will use the question mark. So for example, error message. So that error message. Okay, so if I'm going to run the program, so an error icon. Okay. Actually, this yes, no option has equivalent integer, as I said. So if I'm going to use now the yes option, no cancel, okay, so it will output. Let's try now to, if I'm going to click the yes, it will show a message dialog box. Okay, if I'm going to click the no, it will show a message dialog box. And a cancel, show message dialog box. So, as I said, each of the option has equivalent integer value. For the yes option, if our result is equivalent to 1, okay, let's now display the value of null. You clicked yes. That is actually 0. Okay? Then, if you're going to click now our result as no, so the value would be 1. Okay, then JOptionPane. So, message dialog. Null, and you clicked no. Okay, then for the cancel, so the value would be 2. So JOptionPane dot show message dialog null, then you click cancel. Okay, so let's try now to run our program. So if I'm going to click now the yes, should be display the you click yes. Okay, so the value of yes is equivalent to 0. Okay, so if I'm going to run again, if I'm going to click now the no, the value would be you click no. So the result is 1. Okay, then lastly would be our cancel. Okay, so if you're going to click now the cancel, the result would be 2, and that is the equivalent value of the cancel, and the display would be you click cancel. So that is now the use of confirm dialog box. You need to use the control statement of if else to show now what are the values of our yes, no, and cancel. So that ends now on our using of JOptionPane class on GUI input. Okay, so I hope you understand. I hope you understand something on our video. Okay, so see you again on our next video. Bye.